We're live and present. Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the June Citizens Communications Council meeting. And the first item on our agenda is announcements. Does anyone have an announcements? We have no announcements. Report from Radnor Studio 21, George Strimmel, General Manager.
The other day, this is about the 10th year that I've been appearing before this this council, and I don't think I've ever missed one of the meetings. So thank you very much. And the reports may have a certain similarity. That's because we continue to provide a certain solid service, 168 hours of programming every week, and trying to reflect our community, whether it's the Memorial Day Parade, which we certainly covered and had on thanks to volunteer in that case John Haynes, and all others. That's what keeps us going, and we're always looking. We've had we're now doing programs with the President of the Board of Commissioners, John Nagel, sitting in for Joe Kimmel while he recovers, and we had our new township manager on, and we've had other folks on, and we'll continue to do that. We're the one place that everybody can come, no matter what they have to say, and they are all welcomed, and we'll continue with that. Further, I assume you all are well familiar with Radnor Studio 21 and what we do and how we do it. And of course, they probably put you down at the other end, but you yeah, I could run over and get that for you. But under any circumstances, I'll keep this short, and indeed it is sweet and all goes well. You should know that Comcast did have their technical representative at the station this morning looking at one of the problems we're having with the newly acquired cameras. Unfortunately, they could not be resolved at that time and that place, and has since been removed. And so we're back to one new camera, but we did fix one of the old cameras, so we were able to continue with programming, even though it may not quite be balanced.
Okay.
But good. Fair and balanced is what we do.
Any questions for George from Studio 21? No, thank you.
Thank you.
Jim, this is a piece of wood is showing on this thing. Does that mean anything?
That's okay. That's in case. That's for the presentation.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm just wondrous at all this technology, you know what I mean? Next on our agenda is a report from Comcast. Kate Getzreid is here again. Thank you very much for coming, Kate.
Happy to be here. And I actually don't have much to report this month, simply that the Fine Living channel on 122 changed to the Cooking channel, and that was a programmer change. It was certainly not up to us, and that took effect on May 31st. And other than that, I know that you've been in correspondence with Kevin about the new franchise agreement, and I know you'll be discussing that later. But are there any questions or comments that I can take right now?
Anybody have any questions for Comcast?
The only question I would have is, have you had any service complaints or anything of that sort that would ought to be brought to our attention?
I am not aware of any. Do you mean outages or something? I'm not aware of anything extraordinary.
Outages or anything of any import that you've had to deal with in the service end?
Not that I know of.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, good. Thanks, Kate. Appreciate your coming. Next on the agenda is a report from Verizon. I do have a letter from Verizon indicating that they will not be at the meeting tonight. They plan to be here for the July meeting, and we look forward to seeing them. The next item on the agenda is old business, status of the communications ordinance. Steve? Do you know anything about that?
The last I checked, it was still waiting to go on the agenda for the Board of Commissioners.
John, same thing?
Yeah, I've no update from our last meeting.
Okay, status of the Comcast franchise agreement. We had received information from Comcast, which we reviewed and commented on and sent them back our changes and the things we still have to agree upon. And I just see that we've gotten a response to that today, which I have not had an opportunity to look at. But we will be contacting them for continuing our meetings to renegotiate a 15-year agreement. And we look forward to doing that without hesitation, without problems. I'm sure it'll be okay. New business, the application of Clearwire. Gentlemen? Welcome.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. My name's Eric Goldberg. This is Fran Green. He's a professional engineer. We also have Roz is a radio frequency engineer. Basically, this is a situation where there are two telecommunication carriers.
If you lay it down, we can see it.
We can
okay.
see it.
No, we can see it.
up
We
here.
have monitors up here.
This is very advanced technology.
About to say, I'm not used to such high tech.
Not tonight.
There are currently two telecommunication carriers on this particular rooftop at 800 East Lancaster, AT&T and Sprint. Clearwire is proposing to be the third. All Clearwire is proposing to do is add one 12-inch microwave dish antenna. That's what they're proposing to do. It will be located, as you can tell, right next to the Sprint antennas, and that will be the only antenna that is new and that is being proposed for this. Also has ground equipment, traditional like the others in terms of the cables and all of the other basic other ancillary items that this board has heard, multiple times.
Mr. Goldberg, quick question, just
Sure.
so we can sort of put this in context. The structure at the address is, it appears to be the
800.
field house at Villanova University, is that
Yes.
the old field house?
Is it the old field? Yes.
It's the old field house, and the location on that building, because that building is on the corner of North Ithan and Lancaster Avenue.
Yes.
The location on the field house itself of the antenna that we're talking about is where in relation to what I consider to be the front of the building, which is the building, or the side of the building that faces Lancaster Avenue.
Okay.
Where on the structure is that?
Fran, if you could answer that.
Yeah, I believe it's on the front, on Lancaster Avenue, and let me just double check.
And the reason I ask that question is one of the things we're going to be considering, and you'll be considering in front of, I believe, the Design Review Board, is the visual impact of this additional antenna on the area. So, for instance, if the antenna was further away from Lancaster Avenue, perhaps in the back that faces the new field house, it might be a different analysis than simply on the front of the field house, visible by every passerby that passes by.
We have some photo simulations, if that would help.
Okay, we don't have those, but that would be great.
You can put them up on the,
Yeah, you can also put those up on the screen, thanks.
thanks.
Okay, so it appears that those antennae are on what I would consider to be the back of the building, not the Lancaster Avenue side. Because at least the set from the bottom there, the bottom photographs, appear that they're taken from the field of the football field at the stadium, because the scoreboard is at the end nearest the field house. You can't tell I have 2 degrees from Villanova, can you? So it looks like these antennae are on the back, away from Lancaster Avenue. The building just over the Villanova, in the Villanova sign, is actually Bartley Hall, which is across North Ithan from the field house. So, okay, that's helpful, thank you.
Sure.
What do you pay Villanova for access to this building and antenna?
That would be confidential.
Have you submitted, in conjunction with your application, the material pursuant to which you have the ability, the legal ability to affix these structures to that
I
structure?
believe that was part of the initial application. If not, it certainly will be.
Okay.
The simulation and your drawings show that there already exists 2 other or 3 other installations on that same rooftop.
I believe there are just 2 other telecommunication carriers. Now, those telecommunication carriers may have multiple antennas put up.
But it looks like it looks like there's 3 or 4. I can't tell whether or not it's an antenna toward the front of the building.
Now, are you talking about the actual number of masts up there, or are you talking about the actual number of carriers?
Well, the number of masts. put it
Yes,
that
there are already multiple masts up there.
And you're only putting up one? That's what you're asking for here, is the
Correct.
antenna? But 2 dishes and one?
No, it's only going to be 1 microwave dish. The drawings that were submitted were incorrect. It's going to be
Okay.
1 microwave dish, not the 2.
With the intent to do one further down the road?
Potentially. I mean, there's no indication that they wish to add more than that.
I'm looking at the 3rd page, guys, where it shows that they were gonna do 2 originally. I don't have the new one.
And it was realized afterwards that those drawings were incorrect and that it is not 2. Again, it is just 1.
Okay, of the 2 that it shows on the drawing that you submitted, is it the one to the rear of the building or the one to the front of the building that you want to install?
Right, which is,
Toward the rear of the building?
Yes, you can see where my finger is,
Yeah, okay.
and that's what's shown on the proposed photo sims.
Right.
The height will be the same as what's up there?
The height will be a little bit higher. It will be
Five?
about 4 feet higher. I think
Okay.
it's topping at about 79, about 3 feet higher, okay.
So the elevation above grade for the top of the new structure is what?
About 79 feet. About 79 and a half, roughly. And that's the approximate center line height of the it'll be a 1 foot diameter dish. So 79 and a half, roughly.
And the area that you would expect, in general, the area that you would expect to service from this?
Cover portions of Lancaster Avenue, as well as areas that straddle. We'll cover a portion of that. That would be the major road, as well as, the areas that
Yeah,
straddle
but
it.
How far down? Are we going all the way down to Wayne and down to Bryn Mawr?
No,
or
not even
will
close
we-
to that.
Maybe this help if, I don't know if you guys can.
Yeah,
The site is where the finger is,
right,
and you can see as this main road here,
right.
and then you can see as the highway, and the neighboring sites, as you can see, the other W's, like this one.
Okay,
So these are the other sites which serve, so the area which is mainly covered by this site is the surrounding area.
Okay.
1 mile or 0.9, 0.7, 0.8 miles.
Okay.
Surrounding this whole area will be served by.
now, these other sites that you show, are they existing sites or are they sites to be built?
Like the light green ones are the on-air sites, which means that they are already serving.
They're already
These are the
serving.
clear wire sites, and the other sites, like as you see, this is like dark in color,
Mm-hmm,
black and green, so this and the other 2 sites which are in same color, are not serving right now.
okay. So you're gonna have to come back for another application for these other sites?
If
To
this
fill
falls
in your-
into the same township, if this falls into.
Yeah, it does, so so you'll need the other sites to fill in your footprint,
That's correct.
ultimately.
Yes. And so that there's, I guess, total clarification of this, Clearwire is 51% owned by Sprint. Thus, they're able to use basically some of the same antenna masts. So the antenna masts that are already there already exist for Sprint. The ones for AT&T are completely irrelevant to this company. But as I said, 51% of Clearwire is owned by Sprint. Thus, by swapping out antenna, some of the panel antennas, Clearwire is able to help cover this area without adding any additional panel antennas. That's why you're looking for just the one dish antenna for this application.
And this is for voice and other broadband?
Not voice, this is just WiMAX.
Okay.
So as a dish, it's directional?
Yes.
And which direction are you going to be covering, sort of over towards 476? Is that,
The dish, if you can, as the question we asked before, it will be like the azimuth is 150, which will be like this is true north. If you go, this is true north. So and this is 150. This will be the direction. It will be communicating with another site. So it will we create a link with another microwave dish which falls in the little southeast of that site.
so this isn't for end users, this is a relay?
This microwave dish, it's a part of a backhaul network. I mean the core network. So the data travels with a higher speed through, and it communicates through these transport rings with the multiple dishes on different sites. So like other means that carriers use like copper and fiber. So we use this Clearwire is using nationwide this microwave dishes for this link. So this the beam, like the energy transmitting, is just at the horizon. So it's not like people are not picking signal from that.
Yeah, that's what I was asking, yeah. So they're
People
not,
will be picking signals from the panel antennas.
okay.
This will be used to transmit data.
Yeah, so it's, that's my question.
Are there any other questions?
Do we have to act, John?
Well, I think, I think we have a quorum tonight. What I'm not uncertain of at this point is whether what the code considers to be a complete application has been submitted to the township at this point. There's I forget the specific reference in the code, but there is a list of requirements that each application needs to satisfy, including certificates of insurance, evidence that they have the legal ability to affix the antenna to the structure that they propose to affix it to, and some other things. And without clear indication from staff that they've submitted everything that we need, I would think that it might be slightly premature for us to act. Steve, do you know what the full package looks like and what items might be missing out of it?
Yes, there is a fee involved with putting antennas up, and there's also, like I say, a package of information needs to be completed. So once that's done, once I know that that's been completed, I can let the committee know.
And that goes into what office? I mean,
Community development,
okay, so Matt Bauman.
yes.
So Matt Bauman's
And
office
then
will.
there's permits that need to be taken, but, and then there's one or two more committees that they have to appear in front of.
But as we sit here tonight, we don't know if a full application has been submitted.
Well, you could approve it pending the approval, pending the full package submittal to the township. I believe we've done that before.
Contingent upon.
Contingent upon, yes.
And the reality is, until you get ultimate approval from the design review board, all that stuff will have to be taken care of eventually.
I have a motion.
I so move that we accept it contingent upon the filing of a full and complete application.
And I would second that.
Any comment? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Unanimous?
Great. Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
You too. Public participation. If you see anybody in the parking lot, send them in.
Mr. Glenn?
Yes.
I have an update on the clear installation here at the Township Building.
Yeah.
We finally have resolved the issue about where they're going to go on the tower. After doing 2 intermodulation studies, we found space for them at the 150-foot level. They are in agreement, we are in agreement. Right now, it's in the hands of our township manager to work out the lease agreement with them. Once that's worked out, then they will then make the formal process. So
then
we are,
they'll come to us at that
yes,
point.
sir.
Okay,
Yes, we are close, though.
good.
Okay?
Okay. Any questions for Steve on that? Motion?
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn, second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much for coming, and we'll see you next month.